Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more slug testing, and today we've got a very interesting combination out here to try. We've tested these shells a good while back on the channel with some promising results if I'm remembering correctly, but I don't think they were quite dialed in just yet, so potentially today's setup might be the one to do it, and a lot of you guys have been wanting to see me run this particular combination as well, so we'll see what it can do. But as for the shells I got out here today, I brought out some of the Winchester Super X 20 gauge rifled slugs. These ones are a 2 3/4 inch, 3/4 ounce slug at 1600 feet per second. Just your standard classic Super X 20 gauge rifled slug. Like I just mentioned, we did test these already a good while back on the channel, but we have not tried them through today's combination. So I'm definitely curious to see how these do and if this combo might dial them in just that little bit more. But as for today's shotgun, I brought out the Stevens 301 20 gauge. It's got a 26-inch barrel with a Nikon inline XR 3-9x40 on top. Yes, it's technically a muzzleloader scope, but it serves the purpose perfectly fine on top of this 20 gauge. However, we've got a Carlson's rifled choke tube in here today. A lot of you guys have wanted to see me run one of these, and we have once or twice so far with some pretty interesting results. But so far, at least with the Remington slugs that we've tested through it, it really didn't make a massive difference, but those were a kind of a specialty half-ounce high velocity load, so I'm definitely curious to see what it can do with a regular velocity, just 3/4 ounce rifled slug. For those curious, Carlson says these are a 1 in 35 twist rate, so it's not a ton of rifling, but is it enough to just give these a little bit of accuracy help out there at longer ranges? I don't know. We'll see what happens. But as for today's test, we're going to run it the same as we usually do. I've got a 50-yard target and a 100-yard target. We're going to shoot 3 shots at 50 and another 3 at 100, all of which will be through the chronograph. It's not an ideal test, but I don't have a million of these slugs to work with, so at the very least it'll give us an idea of if this is a good combo or a usable combo at all, or if it's just terrible. So let's get you guys a view of those targets. We'll shoot our groups, bring everything back here, and see how these Super X 3/4 ounce slugs perform through a rifle choke. I've got decent hopes, but we don't know until we try it, so let's take our shots and see what we get. Alright, so let's take a peek through our velocities real quick before we look at our target. Boss claim is 1600, and I think we were just underneath of that claim. But we do have a 26-inch barrel, so the factory could have very well tested it through a 28 or something of that nature. But for a high, we had 1596. For a low, we had 1552. That gave us an average of 1583, so 17 feet per second under their boss claim, with an extreme spread of 44 and a standard deviation of 14. So 1583, we're pretty close to that boss claim. We didn't quite see it, but it's still more than good enough for a deer hunt scenario. And of course, here are your energy numbers, so you can see what we're pushing with a 3/4 ounce slug at 1583. That's plenty good enough. But I definitely think we saw some pretty interesting accuracy results here. So let's swing around to our target and take a look at that. Okay, so here's our target, and we did not get the results that I expected or was hoping to see, that's for sure. And I think it's about time I get a new target backer as well. This one's starting to look a little rough, but we can still see what we need to see. We'll start on the left with our 50-yard group, and if you've seen any of our other slug testing with this shotgun, you know that is not super impressive at all. That gun usually puts them pretty well touching each other at 50 yards. But in this case, we had 2.62 inches. So a little over 2.5 inches at 50 yards. Yes, it's plenty good enough to take a deer with it, but that is nowhere near what I expected. And even with these same slugs through an improved cylinder, I believe they were pretty close to touching as well. So we actually kind of went backwards at 50 yards as we ran them through this rifle choke. Moving over to the right with our 100-yard group, we had this shot, and then we went over here to that one, and then we went back over here to this one. Could this have been a flyer, maybe. It definitely wasn't me on the trigger pull. I felt great about all of these, but this is kind of what we've been seeing with a variety of slugs here recently, especially in 20 gauge. And this is pretty similar to the results we saw just through a standard improved cylinder as well. Kind of this hopping around, not super impressive groups. At 100, that's 5.70 inches. So definitely not anything great there, that's for sure. Which surprises me because this shotgun really likes the Herder's rifled slugs, which are just a reboxed Winchester. But who knows, maybe the people that are controlling the Herder's line pay a little more attention to detail with them or something. I don't know. Because with those Herder slugs, we're putting them in like 2 to 3 inches at 100 consistently. So that really surprises me that this shotgun isn't a fan of the Winchesters. But with a rifle choke, we did not see any kind of improvement at all here yet again. That makes both the Remington high velocity sluggers and now these Super X ones as well, that rifle choke has not made any notable difference at all. So that's definitely pretty interesting to see. Not exactly what I was expecting. For me, I mean, it's good enough to 50 yards for a deer hunt, but there's no reason to use this rifle choke when they give me better results at 50 through an improved cylinder with roughly the same results at 100 through that same improved cylinder. So I don't know on this one. Not what I was expecting, but that's why we test things to see what works and what doesn't, because sometimes you can be surprised. And here are a couple of the little gas seal base wad pieces. They're not connected to the slug at all. It's just a little cushion piece for the bottom of the slug, and it seals our gases behind it. They look perfectly fine, but you can't even really tell that they went through any kind of rifling. It's not really obvious at all. Maybe you can kind of see the faint outline of it, but it definitely didn't grab these plastic pieces super hard, that's for sure. So I really don't think that rifling is super aggressive in that particular choke. And who knows, that could have been a reason why we didn't see any super massive improvement over just a regular improved cylinder if this rifling is barely engaging these slugs. So nothing special to see here. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about that combo? Definitely not exactly what I was expecting to see. I was hoping that rifle choke would dial these in a little bit better, and it really didn't. We kind of almost went backwards from where we were with just an improved cylinder. So at least for these slugs and the previous Remington high velocity sluggers that we tested through that particular rifle choke, it hasn't made any kind of notable difference. I don't know if that's just a 20 gauge in particular thing, or if maybe the slugs are a little bit undersized, or whatever the case would be. It's definitely interesting to see that it doesn't really make any kind of difference. It's not what I was expecting, that's for sure. But I guess if I was going to hunt with this combo, keep it 50 to 60 yards and it's going to be fine. But out at 100, I'm not super impressed with it. Good enough, but I would keep it closer range than that. So I guess leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these 20 gauge Super X slugs or run them through a rifle choke like that? And if so, what kind of results have you seen from them? Is that a combo that you would ever take out on a hunt? Would you keep it in near 50 yards or closer? Or would you be fine stretching it out to 100 yards with that more open group? And what other slugs do you want to see us run through a rifle choke, or just through a 20 gauge in general, or anything like that? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All that information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.